How's it going, you lot, and welcome back to another little video with me, your authentic Cockney. Now it's a nice, cosy, relaxed atmosphere here tonight in the Cockney residence, so I thought I'd take the opportunity to read you all a spooky tale all the way from the East End of London. So sit back, relax, and let me begin. This particular tale is called The Shadow at Bishopsgate. Now, you sort of know London is full of old stories, right? There's pubs with creaky floorboards, back alleys that ain't been touched since Queen Victoria was a nipper, and stations that echo funny when the last train's gone. Well, some places don't just sound old, no. They remember things. And that brings me to Bishopsgate. Now, Bishopsgate by day is all city workers, coffees in hand, traffic blaring, everyone rushing around like their trousers are on fire, you know what I mean? But at night, like proper late, the whole mood changes. The skyscrapers sort of loom in, like they're leaning to listen. The old churches sort of disappear into the shadows, and the air gets that cold, still feel to it, the kind that makes you tighten your jacket even when it ain't really cold. Anyway, that's where the story begins. It was late October, Thursday night, and I was walking home after grabbing a little bit of grub down at Liverpool Street. The fog was hanging low, and that sort of dead silent kind where the sound just seems to sort of disappear. Could barely hear my heels tapping on the pavement. I cut down this narrow side street, which I'm not even sure it's got a name really, just past an old pub called the Bishop's Candle. Most people don't bother with the lanes, too dark, too quiet, and you feel like you're sort of being watched the moment you step into it. But I walked it loads of times before, no trouble, you know what I mean? So I thought nothing of it really. Still, that very night it sort of felt different in a way. The street lamps were dimmer than usual, flickering faintly, like they were about to give up. The fog moved low along the cobbles, clinging to my ankles. And then I noticed something quite strange. The air smelled like burnt matchsticks, but the lamps weren't out. They were lit, barely, but still burning. I kept walking, slow, careful, And that's when I saw him. Right at the far end of the lane, leaning against a wall, under a lamp that was barely glowing, stood an old fella. He was tall, thin as a lamppost, wrapped in a long, soot-black coat that looked like it was bloody 100 years out of date. He weren't moving, he weren't looking at his phone or having a smoke or nothing. Nothing normal. Just standing there, dead still. Head angled down, hat brim covering his eyes like he was waiting. I slowed right down. Now, look, I'm from London, alright? And trust me when I say this, I've seen all sorts. But there was something about this geezer that set my teeth on edge instantly. It weren't fear, it was more like, you know that feeling when you walk into a room and somebody's just been talking about you? Yeah. I cleared my throat. You know, the polite, I'm not here to start any trouble sort of thing, throat clear. But he didn't move. So I confidently said, "Evening mate, how's it going?" His head nodded just a little. Then he lifted it, slow as anything. And I swear on my life, the lamp above him brightened. It was almost like someone was turning it up just to see him a bit better. I saw his face. It was long, pale, lined like old parchment. His eyes were as dark as pitch. And he gave me this soft smile. Friendly, but at the same time it was sort of wrong. Like he sort of didn't quite match the rest of him, if you know what I mean. He touched the brim of his hat and, in a low voice, soft, but with that East End twist to it, he said, "Evening, you sir. It's a bit cold tonight to be walking, ain't it?" I nodded and, you know, try to stay cool. Yeah, well, the fog rolled in quick, so I thought I'd, cut through here, I said. He looked up the lane behind me. His eyes narrowed slightly. "That's so," he murmured. Then he stepped forward, not fast, just a smooth glide, almost as if his coat was being pulled by the fog itself. "You be careful now," he said. "Some nights this lane don't take it too kindly to wanderers, you know." I gave a little laugh, trying to lighten the mood, sort of thing. "Oh yeah," I said. "Why's that then?" He paused and tilted his head, as if sort of deciding whether to tell me. Then he said, "'Cause it remembers these things, all the things that happened here, you know." all the things best left in the dark. Before I could ask him what he meant, the lamp above us flickered violently. A stutter like it was, I don't know, struggling. The burnt match smell all of a sudden got a little bit stronger, and from somewhere down the lane came a sound. It was a scrape, a slow, dragging sound, like someone pulling a heavy boot across stone. I turned and sort of squinted into the dark. "Who's that?" I said. There was no answer, just another scrape, but closer this time. I looked back at the old geezer, and his whole expression had changed. His eyes were sharp now, alert. He stepped back beneath the lamp, placed an hand on the metal post, almost as if he was trying to steady it. "Now, you need to listen to me very, very carefully," he said. "No matter what you hear or how close it gets, make sure you stay in the light." My heart was hammering. What do you mean? How close it gets? What is it? He didn't answer. He just kept his gaze fixed on the darkness behind me. Another scrape, but then a soft, wet breath came, like exhaling through cold teeth. I took a step backwards until I was right by the old geezer, and he nodded, approving. "That's it," he said. "Make sure you stay close now." I whispered, "What's out there?" He tapped the lamp behind him with one crooked finger and said, "Things don't belong in the glow. Things that ain't got a face no more, and things that wander looking for warmth." I felt a chill crawl up my neck, and then the sound changed. No longer scraping, no. Now it was pattering, quick, uneven steps coming our way fast. The fog ahead shifted like something large was moving through it. I stepped closer to the stranger. I said, "Look, mate, honestly, I really think we should go." He shook his head. "It's too late. If you move out of these lamps, it's game over. It can't take you if you're lit, though." And then I heard it. It was now right behind us. A whisper, low, broken. It's a bit like someone was trying to speak but with no tongue. And all I heard was the word cold. I spun around so fast I nearly slipped, but saw nothing except swirling fog. Then something pushed against the edge of the light, just barely visible. A shadow, tall, bent, twisted like a figure made from the smoke. The moment it brushed the light, it recoiled with a hiss like hot metal hitting cold water. I jumped back. What the hell? The old fella interrupted. His voice was very steady. Don't look at it. It thrives on being seen. The shadow twisted again, pacing at the edge of the glow. I could hear it breathing, long, rattling breaths like an old chimney bellows, you know what I mean? Then all of a sudden, it lunged. Not fully into the light, just enough for its shape to stretch forward. Something like a hand. Long fingers, all jointed wrong, reached into the glow and stopped an inch from my chest, shaking violently as if it was burning. I stumbled backwards. The stranger stepped between me and the hand, and holding up his palm in a strange gesture, he said, back, back into your dark. The shadow writhed and shrieked, a horrible sort of whispering howl that echoed off the brick. And all of a sudden, it retreated. The fog sort of swallowed it up instantly, and the lane, it fell silent straight away. My breath was trembling in my chest. I said, "Whoa, what was that?" The old man lowered his hand slowly. "Something from long before your time," he said. "Something what crept into the cracks of this city when absolutely nobody whatsoever was watching." He turned to face me fully and then said, "And it would have taken you as well if it weren't for these lamps." He then gestured gently toward the brighter end of the lane. "Go on. Don't look back." I hesitated and said, "Well, what about you?" He smiled faintly, a bit of a tired smile, sort of sad round the edges. "I'll stay," he said. "Been doing this longer than I can imagine." Well, it didn't really make sense to me. What do you mean? But it was already stepping back into the fog, and as he did, the lamp above him dimmed, his figure fading, like it was just a silhouette in the distance. Then not even that. Completely gone. I then rushed to the main road. My heart was absolutely pounding. The moment my foot hit Bishopsgate proper, the noise of taxis, buses, people, everything snapped back to being normal. I spun around and looked down the lane. Just looked completely ordinary now. Empty, quiet, lit perfectly, with no flickering. You'd never know anything at all had been there. So a week later, I went back to Bishop's Candle pub and asked the landlord if an old lamplighter ever hung around that lane. He looked at me funny. He said, "Lamplighter? Son, there ain't been no lamplighters round here since the 1890s. I described the man. I said, look, he was tall, thin, old coat, bowler hat, you know. The landlord's face went still. Mate, you just described Thomas Briggs. Poor bloke died in that very lane in 1887. Found him beside a lamp that's gone out. Folks said his face looked like he'd seen something awful. I froze. The landlord leaned in. You see, the funny thing is, though, is every few years someone says they see a fella who looks just like him standing underneath that very lamp. He took a sip of his drink, and every time someone sees him, they swear they had something moving in the fog behind them. Sometimes now, when I walk in near Bishopsgate late at night, I sort of get this feeling. It's not fear, it's, I don't know. Someone's watching over me. You know what I mean? And I'll glance down that little lane, and for a split second I'll see a faint shape standing underneath that lamp. Tall, still, coat hanging heavy, hat tipped low. I'll always hear the same whisper in the back of my mind. Stay in the light, son.